Good day, I'm Arunmurthy Venkatesh, and I'm going to talk about the registration feature in HMS system. Okay, let's put number one, which corresponds to the registration patient. Okay, let's give a name. Let's give Mickey. Mickey, enter date of birth 1995, 11, 18. Okay, let's give a wrong gender. Since the gender is neither male, female, nor others, it's giving an error. And this field is case insensitive. Now let's restart the registration process. Now let's put Mickey, date of birth 1995, 11, 18. Then male. Okay, let's put C plus, which is not an actual blood type, and it's throwing an error. Since the only blood type that is acceptable is AB, O, both positive and negative blood groups, and this is also a case insensitive field. Okay, now let's restart the registration process with all correct inputs. Mickey, date of birth 1995, 11, 18, male, A positive, Mickey at gmail.com, contact number 989-20201. An important thing here is name field only accepts spaces and alphabets. The date field only accepts in the format YYYY hyphen MMs hyphen DD. Gender that we have already seen. Email address needs to have an at and a dot at the appropriate place, and contact number should have 8 digits. So the system has successfully generated patient ID for us, and the registration process is successful. Now let's go back to the login page. Let's put number two, which is the number corresponding to it. Okay, now hospital ID. Let's give a wrong one. P1019. Since it's the wrong ID, it's not accepting the field. Now let's put the right one, P1012. And the password. Now let's look into the login feature. Let's put number two here, since that's a number corresponding to the login. So now let's give a wrong hospital ID, P1019. Since it's wrong, it's not accepting it. Now let's give the right one, P1012. And this field is case insensitive. We can give a small p also instead of this. And since this is the first time logging in, the default password is password. And let's change the password for security reasons. Then we'll change it to Mickey1234. And now let's log out. Now let's again log in to check whether the password has been updated. P1016, P1012, and the password is Mickey1234. We can't see the password is because of the SHA-256 feature encryption, and also because of the password hiding feature of ours. Okay. So we logged in successfully because the credentials match, so it has updated. So now let's log out. Thank you. Yeah.
Hi everyone, I'm Preet Singh Chawla, and now I'll be taking control over the code to show all the actions related to the patient. So since we've already registered as a new patient called Mickey, so I'm just going to log in using his ID. It's P1010 and password is Mickey1234. So these are all the actions for the patient. Now I'm going to view my medical record. This shows all the details with the ID, name, DOB, and the rest. And if I press enter, it'll show all the past medical records with the date of diagnosis, the diagnosis treatment plan, and the prescribed medicine. Now I move on to updating the personal information. I get two options to either update the email address or the contact number. So I'll start with updating the email address. So Mickey123@gmail.com. So as you can see, it updates the personal information. And if I update the contact number, let's say 756422. So as we can see, the contact number is also updated. Now we move on to viewing all the available appointment slots for the doctors. When we press 3, we can see the list of all the available doctors with their name and specialization, and we can choose one from them. Let's say we choose the 7th doctor, Will. So we enter the doctor ID and we can see the available dates for Dr. Will. So we have one date currently, and we can see all the time slots in that date, and we can select one from them. Let's say we select 4 p.m. So as we can see, it goes back to the menu as this is the available slot. Now we move on to scheduling an appointment. Since we saw the available slot, we can just enter those details and schedule it. So I'll just enter the date and the time. So as we can see, we have scheduled an appointment with the appointment ID 8467, and the selected time slot is removed from the available appointments file. Now, what if we want to reschedule an appointment? We can see all our scheduled appointments with the date and time, and we can choose one from them by entering the appointment ID so that we can reschedule. Let's say we reschedule the third one. We just enter the appointment ID 8467. And we can see for the doctor, we can see the available dates and time, and we can choose another date. Let's say 2. And here we see that our appointment is rescheduled to 20th November, 3 o'clock. Now let's move on to canceling an appointment. We can see all our appointments, and from there we can choose one that we want to cancel. So I'm canceling the third appointment, and it says that we have successfully canceled the appointment and it'll be thus removed from the CSV file. We press enter to continue, and we move on to checking all our scheduled appointments. Let's say we press 7. We see that there are 2 appointments which are currently scheduled. One is confirmed by the doctor, but the other one is still pending confirmation from the doctor. And now we move on to looking all our past outcome records. When we press 8, we see that we have completed 2 appointments in the past. For the first one, our medication status is still pending. That means we still haven't received any medication from the pharmacist. But for the other one, it says it's dispensed. That means we already received the medication from the pharmacist. And now lastly, we can also enter patient feedback. When I press 9, I can just enter the patient name, Mickey, and feedback message could be very nice consultation. And I give a rating of 5. So it gets updated into the CSV file with our complete feedback. And lastly, we just log out. And that's all for the actions of the patient. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Ashwin, and I'm running through our code, specifically the doctor's test cases. So first, we're going to log in as a doctor. In this case, Dr. Will. We're going to log in the default password, which the system will prompt us to change. So first things first, test case 9 for viewing medical records. In this case, we have previously had our patient Mickey who came to us for a fall, and we want to view his details. So we type in his patient ID, we can see his details pop up, his date of birth, his gender, his blood type, and pressing enter again will bring up his medical records. So you can see that a few more medical records have been appended, specifically on the 30th. And say he came to us for another visit and we want to update his medical records, right? So we add in his date, and say he came to us in December on the 11th, and he had a fever. And we prescribe him some rest, and we just give him some paracetamol. Okay. Now, if I go back and I view his medical records, you can see that appended to his records is one for December for just the record we just updated. So that's test case 9 and test case 10. For viewing your personal schedule, you press 3. You can see that we have an appointment with Will. We have an appointment with Mickey on the 20th at 3 p.m. And these are all available time slots from 9, 10, 11, 12, and 4 p.m. for 30th and 4 p.m. on the 20th. So if we want to set our availability, for example, and I don't want to work on the 20th anymore, I want to take a rest at 4 p.m., I can just remove all my slots, and I press done. And now, if I view my personal schedule, you'll see that I only have the time slots for the 30th. Now, accepting and declining appointment request, if you press 5, and you can see that we have one with Mickey. And if we choose 8082, and we, sorry, my mistake. Sorry, 8082. You choose an appointment. I can confirm the appointment or cancel the appointment. In this case, I'll confirm the appointment. And if I view my upcoming appointment, you can see that I have one for the same appointment ID with Mickey at 3 p.m. Then I'm able to also record for the appointment. So in this case, for Mickey's one, we'll just take 8082, and we'll just say it's a consultation. We'll also type in that he's doing better. And we are still going to prescribe paracetamol, 2 doses. And if we go out and view, if we go out of this and log in as Mickey, E1010, and Mickey1234. You can see that if I view my personal thing, you can see that the past completed appointments that is already updated on the patient side.
Good day, everyone. I will be explaining the pharmacist and the administrator part of the code today. Let's start with the pharmacist part. Let's log in with an ID of P001 and the default password, which is password. We will not be changing our password today. So the pharmacist menu has 5 options, which is to view application outcome and update the prescription status, view medication inventory, submit the replenishment request, and log out. Let's look at application outcome records. So this gives us a list of all the application outcomes and the medications that have been prescribed and if they've been dispensed or pending. Looking at P1010, which is the patient ID of Mickey, there's paracetamol that has been prescribed, but it's still pending, and the quantity to be 2 and the appointment ID to be 5744. There's another paracetamol that is pending for ID P1002, which is 4201. So let's fix that. Let's look at the medication inventory, which has paracetamol's quantity to be 22. Now let's update the prescription status for Mickey, which is 5744, to dispensed. And now let's check the appointment record, and we can see that the paracetamol has been dispensed. And also looking at the medication inventory, the paracetamol's quantity has reduced from 22 to 20. Now we could also look at the medication inventory and see what are the medicines that are in low stock and submit a replenishment request for them. Band-Aids have a quantity of 100 and have been indicated as low stock. So we could submit a replenishment request to the admin for Band-Aids for today. Yeah, and the replenishment request was submitted. Now logging out for this system. Now let's log in to administrator, giving an ID of A001 and the default password again of password. We're not going to be changing our password today. So administrator menu is a bit more complex and it has 5 menu options with submenus. Let's look at our first menu option, which is view and manage hospital staff. Now the first option under that is to view the staff. And we have 2 options, which is to view all the staff together or to filter by role, gender, or age. For now, let's view all the staff together. That is, we see the doctor list first, and when I press enter, I can see the staff list. Now, let's use some of our filters. Using the role filter, we could see the doctors, and then we could also use the role filter for nurses, for example, and see the list of nurses coming up. We could also use the role filter by age. For example, age 25, and see that there are 3 doctors who are 25 years old and 1 staff person who's a nurse who's 25 years old. We could also view a filter by gender. We could see our gender for females, and there are 4 female doctors and 2 staffs, 1 administrator and 1 pharmacist who's a female. Now let's look at adding staff members. Number 1 is doctor. Let's add a doctor ID of D009, name Minnie, gender female, the age to be 40, specialization to be a vet, and the staff has been added successfully. We could also view the staff and see that Minnie has been added to the doctor list. Also, we could add other staff members like nurses, N009, and we could add Scooby-Doo here. The role to be a nurse, the gender to be male, age 30, and the staff has been added. And we could see that Scooby-Doo has also been added to our staff list under the nurses. We could also update staff members. For example, the doctor, D007. We could update the age of this doctor to 37. And once we view this, we could see that D07, who's Will, has updated their age to 37. We could also update the other staff. We could update Scooby-Doo's age as well. Maybe their role. Scooby-Doo could be updated to a pharmacist. Enter a new ID of P009. And once we view the staffs, we see that Scooby-Doo has been updated to a pharmacist with the staff ID to be P009. Finally, we could also remove staff members. If the staff are doctor, for now, let's put no and enter the hospital ID. Let's guess that Scooby-Doo has decided to resign. So we enter the hospital ID of P009 and the staff has been removed. So once again, we view all the staffs and see that there's no Scooby-Doo in our staff list. Now we exit and go to our next menu option, which is to view appointment details. We could view all appointments or filter them. When we view all appointments, we see a list of all the confirmed, the completed, and the pending appointments together. To organize this data a bit more, we could filter these appointments by patient ID, doctor ID, or date. For now, let's look at T1010 and view all statuses. And we see that they've had 4 appointments. There are one pending, two completed, and 1 confirmed. Also, we could sort this by date, which is, for example, let's put 2024 11/20. We could view all statuses, or we could filter by status, and we could see which is pending. And there is 1 pending on the 20th of November by a filter. Now let's go and view and manage the medication inventory. To see the inventory, we press 1. We see this inventory similar to the pharmacist menu item. We could remove or add a medicine, update stock, or update the low count indicator. So when we view the inventory, we see that we can add a medicine like Dolo, enter the quantity of 40, enter low stock indicator of 20, and the medicine has been added successfully in the list as you've seen, a simple menu function. Similarly for remove, we could also remove this Dolo again. We can see that it has been removed, and update the stock of some of the inventory items. For example, let's see Cetirizine, which has a stock of 40 and it's in stock. So if we update the stock, Cetirizine, new quantity to be 50, enter to continue, and we see the inventory Cetirizine has been updated to 50. Also, we could update the low stock indicator of some of these things. So Cetirizine, the low stock indicator is 20. Let's update the low stock indicator to 50. Low stock indicator of Cetirizine 50. And we see that Cetirizine, the low stock indicator is 50 and it's in stock. Okay, so now we can exit this menu functionality and view and approve a replenishment request by the pharmacists now by pressing 4. Now we could view the replenishment request first. There have been 2 approved, that is ibuprofen and amoxicillin. There are 3 which are requested, paracetamol, crocin, and band-aids. Now, since band-aids was the newest one that we requested, let's go to accept that replenishment request. So we could restock the medicine, band-aid, incoming stock quantity to be 100. Enter to continue, and we could see the replenishment request to be approved and the stock to be 200. We could exit and see the medical inventory also to be updated with band-aid and in stock, which is above the low stock indicator. So that has been updated neatly as well. Now looking at the final patient feedback that we have added as a bonus feature to our UI. And the latest feedback was from Mickey. He found our consultation very nice and gave us also a rating of 5. And that's all with the administrator and the pharmacist functions. I hope you enjoyed this presentation from our team and hope to see you soon. Thank you so much.